Hey, my friend, it's Massaro, CEO of Moving Mastery, where we help moving company owners set up proven systems and processes to increase profits, reduce stress, and live a better quality of life. You know, I speak to moving company owners literally every single day. Our clients, our private clients, people that are interested in becoming clients. And, you know, one thing is kind of pretty consistent across the board is people want to open additional locations, right? They look at it and they say, okay, I've got this business, it's running good, and I want to duplicate it, right? Because I'm doing really well here, but then if I expand, I could do double the business, right? And I also have clients that have done that and felt the frustration of not feeling everything grow doubly, or the new business actually hurts their existing business. And it's one of the most frustrating things that someone could go through. I went through it myself personally and have seen people in the business in the last few years go through it as well, to be able to expand, open an additional location, and not only does it not bring in the additional money that you thought it would, but it creates more complexity, more work, and it actually starts draining the main business. Now, this doesn't happen all the time, okay? So I want to prepare you for what to do when it's time to open an additional location. But, you know, this is something that people deal with, and it's a real thing. You know, if you expand too quickly, it could create a lot of problems for what you have going on. So what I tell people is this: if you're going to open up additional locations, whether it's one, whether it's 50, whatever it might be, you have to establish a new blueprint for yourself in the way that you run your business day to day. Because now you're not just running one location where you're there, where you're seeing it, you're running multiple locations where you're not there, right? So your way of managing it becomes totally different. You know, I have this private client that, you know, I met him, I don't know, whenever it was at one of my events. He wasn't a client at the time. And he started telling me his scenario, and he was looking to open an additional location somewhere else, and he was going to buy out this company because they were a van line agent, and he wanted to be part of the van line, and this whole thing. He explained his whole scenario to me, and I said, you're not ready to do it. You know, you're not ready. You know, you need to do this, 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 and this first, then you'll be ready to do it. You know, maybe a year later, 18 months later, he becomes a private client. He says, Louis, I did it, and I should have listened to you, right? It's been the worst year of my life. I've been traveling. This business is just costing me a fortune to keep it going. You know, it's distracting the people in my main office, and I need to figure out a way out of this. So luckily, as a private client, we were able to kind of help him figure his way out of it to where, you know, shut down that other location gracefully, to where he came back to one location and started making more money with the one than he was even coming close to with the two. And I'm not saying that as a way of saying don't open up, or if you have a second, shut it down. But in his scenario, based upon his lifestyle choices and the way that he wanted to spend his time, the way that he wanted to you know, how many days a week he wanted to work, what, you know, his traveling, all that, and how much money he wanted to make. We said, you know, you could do that in the one office. You don't have to travel. You don't have to deal with all these extra people. You don't have to have all this extra aggravation, but you still get what you want, right? So, you know, it's just really comes down to more locations and more business does not always equal more money, all right? So, if you're going to open up additional locations, which again, I encourage you to do that, but the timing has to be right, and you have to go into it with the right approach, all right? So I want to give you some ways to do that, to create a new blueprint for yourself for expansion, okay? Remember, the way you run one business is totally different than the way you'll run multiple businesses. I learned the same thing that my client learned the hard way when I had my one office and I started to open up additional locations. At first, I didn't have that blueprint to run multiple offices, right? I went through the same thing. It was stressful, problems everywhere. on the plane, flying here, flying there, until I finally got it under control by realizing I had to approach it differently, right? Because I was no longer just running one business, I now had multiple businesses, all right? So let me give you the steps that you need to take in order to create that new blueprint for yourself if you're going to open additional locations, all right? And the first thing that you need to do is create a model business, okay? And what is a model business? A model business is, if you're gonna duplicate something, right? If you're gonna clone something, if you're gonna duplicate something, you wanna make sure that it's exactly how you want it to be before you duplicate it, or you're just gonna duplicate, a half-assed version of what you really want, right? You wanna create a model business. And what does that mean? That means that you've got your processes in place. That means that you know your numbers, okay? You know where you're at. That means that everything that you do can be duplicated exactly somewhere else, okay? And a lot of that really is your processes, knowing your numbers, and being able to look at it, and if there is a problem, identify it quickly and resolve it, all right? So no matter how you want to grow, right? No matter what you want to do with your business, even if you don't want to open multiple locations, you've got to create a model business. If you want to sell your business down the road, if you want to franchise your business, anything you want to do, you got to create a model. From the model, you could duplicate. But in the process of creating the model, your business just becomes better, more efficient, more profitable. You can see things clearly and you know how to maneuver day to day. All right. Second thing you need to do before you start going out and open additional locations is you need to be able to remove yourself from the day to day. So if you're involved day to day, meaning you're dispatching trucks, you're booking moves, right? You're part of the main function of the business. You can't go open another office, okay? And I know a lot of people aren't going to want to hear this right now. They're going to want to stop this video and say, Louis, I could do it. I could run this and I could run that. We, as humans, we really underestimate sometimes what it takes to pull something off. And if you are stuck in the day-to-day of your current office, you won't have the freedom or flexibility to run what needs to be run in the new office. You now need to step into a new role, okay, where you now can run everything from afar, right? You could be at a home office and run this location, this location, this location. But if you're stuck in one place dispatching trucks or booking moves or whatever it might be, and you're also trying to have business development going on in new locations, it's not going to happen, all right? So you need to be able to remove yourself from the day-to-day. Third thing you want to do is you want to establish baseline metrics. Baseline metrics means, take a look at your P&L, all right? You need to know what percentage do you spend in fuel? What percentage do you spend on labor? What percentage are you spending on truck insurance? In other words, you need to be able to look at, boxes, all your cost of goods sold, right? All of that. You need to have a baseline percentage of what it is you spend. This is part of your model, right? This is knowing your numbers, what they are, so that when you go to duplicate it, you could see, am I on track or am I not on track, right? If you don't know where your numbers should be, if you say, okay, hypothetically, you spend 7% of your gross revenue on fuel, right? I'm just picking a number out of a hat. Then you want to, chances are it's going to be similar where you go, right, with the fluctuation in price, but you want to have all those different metrics so that you can see how you're doing. Too many times people open up another location and they don't know how well they're doing until they have extra money in the bank account. That's kind of the way of being able to tell that. So you want to have your baseline metrics so that you can set up your P&Ls and your cash flow statement and you can know exactly what's going on. Same thing with your marketing ROI, all right? So all the key metrics that you need to know in your current office. Figure out what the baseline is, like where you're at, all right? Maybe you can improve them, whatever it might be, but then this way you can carry them over to the new office, all right? Fourth thing you need to do is create a financial forecast. People will ask me, all the time, Louis, how much does it take to open up a moving company, an additional moving company? How much money should I have? Well, the answer really depends, you know? People go about it very differently. I mean, you could do a shoestring budget and rent 2 trucks and have one mover go there and work out of a truck rental yard and dispatch the jobs and then go and be one of the movers and, you know, do all the administrative stuff from your current office, and it could be, you know, very inexpensive. You know, for me, I never opened an additional location with less than at least 75 to 100,000 in capital, you know, to put into an account to go open that office, because, you know, we got an office, you know, trucks, like marketing. So, and if you really want to go in strong, you could spend 200,000 to go open up an additional location, right? I mean, when I opened up one of my South Florida office, where my call center was going to be, I spent about 500,000 opening that office, and it's just because I wanted everything done immediately, right? It was like we got this big warehouse, give me 600 vaults, brand new, right? Give me all the equipment, and it was just get everything out of the way that we need to purchase, get it done. So it's a big variance, right? So you want to create a financial forecast so that you can see, okay, if we're going to open up in, you know, let's say January, all right, what do we anticipate our expenses to be February, March, April, May? What are we anticipating our income to be in these months as well, right? Based upon your level of how you're going to open up. Remember, you could bootstrap it, or you could just throw a ton of money at it and go that route, right? But you want to be able to have that financial forecast that you can see, so you're not just kind of like, you know, tossing it out there to see if it works. You have a game plan, and you know that you're going to have the money to stick in there and make it happen, because it might not take off as quick as you think it might. So you need to have the financial staying power to be able to, you know, muscle through any you know, unforeseen circumstances, any slower than usual times. You know, maybe you need to adjust and adapt to the market and the way the competition prices. There's a lot of things that could go on. You don't want to be strapped for cash in that situation, all right? Next thing you want to do, number 5, is you want to open a separate entity, okay? So now, if you decide I'm going to go open another office, do not run it under the same corporation or the same LLC. Open a brand new corporation or a brand new LLC, okay, for that location. It could be the same name as yours, like your moving company of this city, LLC, your moving company of this city, Inc., right? Open a separate one. You're going to want to, you know, talk to your lawyer, talk to your accountant. I'm neither one of those things, but you're going to want to fund that account from your personal account, put the money there, okay? Then from there, the new entity's bank account, then you can now make all the purchases you need for that business, okay? You don't want to cross-mingle funds, all right? You don't want to take your new office and then take your old office and start cutting checks for the new office, because what happens is, you know, you want to be in a position to protect yourself, you know, from anything that might happen, right? You got to think about the liability that's there. You want to think about your own asset protection. You know, you open up an additional location that you're not there. Somebody's out there running it, and, you know, they run a truck off a cliff. They go into your warehouse and steal everything from all of your customers. Whatever it might be, let's just imagine the worst thing happens in that new location. You want to be able to have your legal liability separate from your existing location, okay? And if you are cross-mingling funds, even though you have separate entities, if there happens to be a big lawsuit or happens to be something that goes down, you know, they could tie back to your original company, and now you put your original company at risk. So, you know, obviously talk to a lawyer, talk to your CPA. There's also, you know, tax implications for all this as well, but you want to make sure open a separate entity, okay? And the last and final thing, commit and go hard. Don't dabble. Okay? Don't just say, let me roll the dice in this location and let me see if it works. If you're going to do it because you're basing it off of good information that you feel you can go into that market and go strong, all right? You've created your model. You've removed yourself from your day-to-day. You've established your baseline metrics. You've created a financial forecast. You've opened your separate entity. Don't just try to see if it works. Go hard, make it work, right? Put somebody there that you know is gonna kick ass. Put somebody there that you know is gonna take your processes and run with them. A lot of times when I see people that have additional locations and they fail, it's because they think it's as simple as sending a few trucks and a few guys over there and everything else will be okay, and it rarely turns out that way. It's when you send somebody there that's trained, they know what they're doing, they're strong, they have a vested interest, maybe they're a partner or they're some kind of GM that has, they're tied into profits. That's when the location is strong. That's when you go into it and you make money, and then you could build upon that because now you have your new blueprint for the way you manage all of it. And I hope you go on to open 50 offices around the country or whatever your goal is, but just know if you're gonna do it, commit and go hard and wait till the time is right. I hope this was helpful. If so, do me a favor, share this with somebody out there on social media or in one of the groups that might find this helpful, what we talked about today. And if you could like this video too, I'd really appreciate it. Until I see you next time, go out there every single day, profit in your business, thrive in your life. I'll see you next time. I hope you enjoyed that episode. Make sure you subscribe to the new Moving Mastery podcast. It's available on iTunes right now, and it's the exclusive place where I share proven strategies and processes on how to reach higher levels of success in your moving business. Every week, I share valuable insights, stories, and expert interviews with takeaways you can implement in your business right away. You'll get a behind-the-scenes look and tactical training from my seminars and online training programs on how to improve each area of your moving business. It's called the Moving Mastery Podcast, and it's available on iTunes or anywhere you get your podcasts, so make sure you subscribe. And if you're ready to take your moving company to the next level, make sure you check out my brand new on-demand training on how to consistently book more high-paying moves all year long. It's called the 6 Stages of a Moving Company Sales Machine, and you can access it right now for free at lewismassaro.com/6 stages. In this training, you'll learn the steps you need to take to increase your sales with a smooth running, consistent process. This is the same process I used in my moving companies to book 12,000 moves a year, and now I'm training you on how to implement it in your moving company for free. It's available now at lewismassaro.com/6 stages. Before you go, make sure you subscribe to my channel. It really helps support me and the channel and enables me to keep putting out new videos for you. I'd really appreciate it. By subscribing, you'll also get a notification every time I release new training, so make sure you hit subscribe.